Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means it's time for my Survivor recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, it basically was kind of the aftermath of the Aussie vote. Andrea was pretty pissed at Zeke for keeping her out of the loop, and Andrea completely does not want to work with Zeke anymore, and Zeke was trying to explain himself to her what happened, and Andrea's too pissed to even talk to him and just kind of interrupting him, so Zeke's like, if you're not going to talk to me, then I'm just going to talk to somebody else. And I get that Andrea's pissed because, they were in an alliance. I mean, I'd be pissed as well, but at least let the guy have a word in edgewise. Let him have his say. Let him explain himself why he had to vote like that. So the reward challenge was interesting. They're playing for basically a Survivor Feast, and basically what they had to do is they had to climb over and slide down this thing, and then they had to get on a balance beam, and then once they got everybody on the platform, they had to use a grappling hook to get these rings and just simply just put them on. And everything was going okay for a while. I wouldn't say they were neck and neck, but Blue had a lead and Orange had a lead, and Michaela, I have to say, was so negative because it was a team captain pick, like a schoolyard pick, so she was the one that didn't get to participate in the challenges. So basically the whole reward challenge, Michaela was bitching up a storm and complaining that she didn't get to play at all. And she was so blind and too busy complaining that she didn't realize that there was a secret advantage literally right next to her feet. I'm like, if she would have just looked down, she would have seen that there was a secret advantage. I'm like, I'm really surprised she didn't see it, because Michaela would, after her moaning and groaning, she would definitely need that secret advantage. So it seemed like there was people struggling on the balance beam. That definitely is not easy to do. Aubrey was struggling on there, and Zeke, it took him a long time to get past that, but he eventually got past it. But what was sad to watch was that Cirie was having a hard time getting on the platform, and even though she was struggling, she didn't give up, and she continued to try to do the challenge. And the blue team ended up winning the reward. And what was also interesting is that while the challenge was still happening, Sarah actually got up and went back to try to help Cirie. And I don't think that's ever happened in the history of Survivor. And then even when the challenge was over, Cirie said that she doesn't want to go back to camp unless she completes this challenge. And she was able to do it with the help of her tribe. And I thought that was a really nice moment. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before, but they kept advertising this the most powerful moment in Survivor history. I'm like, didn't that already happen a few weeks ago when Zeke was outed and Zeke showing his strength and his whole tribe backing him up? I would think that would be the most inspirational and powerful moment. But on the reward challenge, Culpepper reveals that he didn't take all of his alliance members on purpose, because he basically wants Sarah and Troyzen to be his eyes and ears back in camp, and he wants to keep some of his alliance members strong there. And I definitely think that was smart thinking to break up his alliance in order to keep eyes and ears back at camp. And Cirie is, still overwhelmed the fact that she did that and was able to show her sons that even when life's difficult, you can't give up. And what I really loved about this episode is I really loved the Zeke alliance. I mean, even after the fall of Andrea, Sarah was very reassuring to Zeke and said that, he still has options here, that she's more than willing to work with him. And it actually was Sarah who spotted the secret advantage, and now Sarah has an advantage in the game. And I'm thinking, could this possibly be another legacy advantage? And she was kind of had the same reaction as I did. Like, how in the world did Michaela not see that? So her advantage basically is that she gets to steal a vote from somebody. And I remember this back in Survivor Second Chance when Fishback stole Joe's vote, and it didn't really work out in his favor, so I'm hoping it works out in Sarah's. But, yeah. So, a lot of the people are finding Michaela annoying around camp, so they wouldn't get out Michaela, but then they see that Andrea is a strategic threat, so they, want to try to get out Andrea. So now the big thing is, who do they get rid of? And I'm kind of like waiting for Michaela to blow up at one point, because just the way how negative she is toward everyone and everything. The immunity challenge was a balancing challenge, but in a different way. You had to spell out immunity, but you had to hold on to this rope the whole time. So basically, the higher your tower is, the more harder it is to balance and grab your letter pieces. And what I thought was the biggest challenge blowout I've ever seen was Ty. Like, at first it looked like he was trying to spell immunity, but then when he went out in the challenge, he didn't grab a letter with him. And then he's still standing there trying to figure out what I should do. I'm like, just at that point, I was just like, why don't you just look at somebody else's? I mean, they all have immunity going, and I just don't know why he didn't just grab a block and go. But it really came down to the wire there. Andrea had a huge lead, and I definitely thought she was going to win immunity because she only had one letter left, but then she dropped all of her letters. And then I believe Culpepper at one point had a lead on her, but again, he dropped. And Troyzan was neck and neck with Andrea the whole time. It ended up being Troyzan who won immunity, so congrats, Troyzan, on that immunity win. So back at camp, they're all wondering who should they vote for. The main six, basically Culpepper's alliance, wants to vote out Andrea. And Debbie at first wants to vote out Michaela because she's thinking like I am, that Michaela is so negative and just complains so much around camp. I mean, she just brings everybody down, that Culpepper says, we can get her out of Nevertime. Let's try to get out the biggest strategic move. So, Debbie's willing to go along with that. And Sarah, she wants to again work with Zeke and wants to get out one of the bigger challenge threats, but in order to do that, they need to bring Andrea in, and Andrea apparently is willing to work with Zeke even though she doesn't fully trust him right now. I mean, at least for this vote. But then Debbie and Aubrey have a talk, and I'm immediately thinking this is not going to end well because them two didn't have a good relationship last season. Debbie's I'm trying to make sure that Aubrey's with them, and is basically talking and saying that she was saying, I don't remember exactly what Debbie said, but she's saying something about Sarah not trusting her and everything, and Aubrey just gives an eye roll, and then Aubrey goes and tells Sarah that Debbie's spreading lies about her. So at that point, Sarah had a talk with Sierra, and Sierra revealed that she wanted to go to the final three with with Sarah and Debbie, with herself, Sarah and Debbie. But then at that point, Sarah doesn't want to work with Debbie if she hears that from Aubrey that she's spreading lies about her. So I'm thinking, oh, my girl Debbie is in trouble. And at Tribal, it's obvious that Andrea knows that she's on the bottom. But then, as much as I don't like Michaela, she actually made a good point. She says, why don't you get off the bigger threats now, while you have the chance and while you have the numbers, instead of instead of, just waiting and you don't have no chance to get them off. And yeah, that's basically what was talked about around there. And basically saying like that there's one big alliance of just people on the outside, and that's like Culpepper, Sierra, Debbie, Sarah, and all of them are in core alliance. And it was coming down between Andrea and Debbie, and unfortunately, Debbie was sent home. And Debbie was definitely one of my picks to win. I'm so sorry to see you go, Debbie. I'm really sorry that it's the same place as you were last season you were on, and I'm also sorry that it was also Aubrey's fault again that you were gone, because I definitely think that people like last season when Debbie was on, I feel like that people were too afraid to get the bigger targets out, that they just went for somebody who had their head in a game. So so yeah, I don't get the reasoning behind that at all. I definitely think that Aubrey, I haven't really seen her making any moves this season, and she's one of my picks to win in my fantasy draft, but I haven't seen her making any big moves like she was last time. I see her kind of being too scared to make any moves, and she just votes off somebody in her alliance like last time. And I gotta say, I've never been a Sierra fan, but she's definitely not a goat like her previous season. Like, we've seen in all these episodes here, Sierra and Culpepper have a tight alliance, but they seem to be the ones in control of this game right now. So, yeah, I'm sad to see Debbie go, but the game goes on. So next week it looks like there's gonna be a big shift. It looks like they're gonna try to get. It wasn't clear who they're gonna try to get out, but it seems like they're gonna try to get out one of the bigger threats, and that the alliances aren't as formed together as they appear. That they're all gonna try to scramble and try to basically try to get control and get the person they want off. So I hope you guys enjoyed Survivor tonight. And if you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. I hope you guys enjoyed my Survivor recap, and until next time, stay regal.